Living Local Carolina with Katie Turner. Local trends, shopping, dining, and more. This is Living Local Carolina.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on Living Local Carolina. I'm in the studio once again with my friends from Beach Injury Lawyers, Will and Greg. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
Always a great time that I can sit and chat with you guys. And today, it wouldn't be a Beach Injury Lawyer show if we didn't talk about a car at some point. So we're getting back to basics here in 2025. We're talking about what not to do if you're involved in a motor vehicle accident.
And it's something we get asked a lot.
Yeah.
And we in our previous shows we've talked about it, but you know, it's just, and we have a little list here, but you know, there's certain things that you absolutely should keep in mind if you've been involved in a wreck. And the first on the list is don't lose your temper. Now, we see where, and it's understand that, you know, you've been hit, you possibly are injured, but remember that, you know, running around, kicking things, screaming, cursing, everybody's got a video camera. And now more people they have dash cams.
Yeah.
And the police have.
Yeah, and the police, and and when you watch the video, the person is saying, "Oh, I was horribly injured. I couldn't move." And then you watch the video, and they're running around, screaming, yelling, and cursing and throwing things, and it's like,
The
keep
writing
your
is
temper.
on the wall.
Don't do it. Keep your temper. Just stay calm. Stay calm.
Also makes you more likable.
True.
If you are able to stay calm in a situation like that. Another is don't simply agree to exchange information. That's gone horribly wrong many times, and we've had to try to find the person. A lot of times they'll give you the wrong information. You need to just call the police, dial 911. If you're injured, and you need an ambulance, go ahead and dial that as well. But definitely get a police officer on the scene.
Yeah,
Document it.
because the police are they're gonna complete a collision report, and the collision report has so much information in it that's valuable to a personal injury attorney. Insurance policies, addresses, names. So it's really important to call the police.
Okay.
So the next is don't ignore crash evidence. So what we're talking about is if you're able, take some photographs of the scene, of the cars. If there's a stop sign there, the person ran a stop sign, snap a picture of it, put it in the scene along with the wrecked cars, because that again goes well with when you approach the settlement or when you approach the insurance company with a settlement demand to have pictures of the scene included in the demand.
Yeah, a lot of times, people will not tell the truth to the officer, and the cars have been moved. But if you have a picture of the vehicle in your lane striking you, that's the best evidence you can have. Right. And a lot of times, you're going to move over, because of the crash, but document the evidence first. Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Well, don't decline medical treatment. I mean, if you believe you're injured in any way, just seek medical treatment. Okay, there's things that insurance company use against our clients a lot, or they didn't go by ambulance, and a lot of times you're adrenaline shock. These things kick in. I've been in many accidents, unfortunately, and you later find out that you are injured. So if you're suspect or in any way, or the car looks pretty bad, I could be injured, then go by ambulance.
I mean, hindsight, of course, hindsight's 20/20, but if most of the clients who don't take the ambulance into the emergency room, they wait, somebody else takes them. Virtually all of them will say, I wish I had taken. I would have let EMS take me because I didn't know I was as hurt as I was.
I see.
Don't accept a quick settlement. More and more we see people who will take an offer that we're going to pay X amount for your medical record or bills, and then we're going to give you $1,000. They end up signing it, taking the money, and in the end, they've signed their rights away. When their claim is worth so much more money, they're injured more than they think that they are. So don't do that.
All right, everyone, please stick with us because we're going to be talking more about Law Basics or Law 101. So we'll be right back.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
Well, welcome back to Living Local Carolina. Thanks for sticking with us today. I'm hanging out with the guys from Beach Injury Lawyers. We were just talking about what not to do whenever you get into a car accident, but now we're going to be talking about more things that people should know but maybe don't know that come across in your line of work.
Yeah, I mean, we get calls, and people will, and we like to talk to anybody who calls us. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter whether it's a collections matter or a criminal matter or whatever the case may be. You know, sometimes people just want to talk to a lawyer, and we will talk to you. It doesn't, again, we don't necessarily handle that type of case, but we're going to talk to you nonetheless. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we get a lot of is people will call and say, I was either involved in a motor vehicle accident or I was involved in some other sort of legal situation. And I thought about it. I didn't want to pursue it at first, but now I really want to pursue it. So our first question is, when did it take place? I had one of those earlier this week, and the lady said 2016. So I'm not a great mathematician, but I was like, that's a long time ago. So why can't that person bring, let's say, personal injury claim? If they were injured in 2016 and they never filed a lawsuit, why can't they do it? Well, every state has something called a statute of limitations. And what that does is it's essentially deadlines. So how long do you have to file a claim in a particular matter? So we're personal injury lawyers, let's talk about personal injury. If it's an accident, a wreck, generally you got 3 years. Mm-hmm. If you don't file a lawsuit within that 3-year period, then it's gone. The statute has run and you have no claim anymore. Doesn't matter whether if you blow it by 10 minutes or 10 hours or 10 days, it's done. So you don't have a claim.
Are there any exceptions to that?
No, once the statute runs, it runs.
All right.
So, but again, since it's the law, they're always different. We talk about generalities. So, but for governmental entities, say a city or a county or the state, 2 years. Right?
Okay.
So, right, they deduct 1 year, so you have to file within 2 years. So, really, it's the discovery rule. All right, so that's really important with statutes of limitations.
So the 2016, this is their only chance.
When did they discover? So when did they think about it? So when did they discover they were injured? Well, it was 2016 because they were involved in an automobile accident.
Let's take it to Med-Mal though.
Right. So the statute will run 3 years. With Med-Mal, it's when you discover that a medical malpractice event took place. So, a procedure is done. The person doesn't know that the procedure was performed improperly until 4 years later. Mm-hmm. Let's say a heart procedure, when they have a heart attack and they go back and look and say, "Oh my goodness, the procedure wasn't done properly, or the wrong procedure was performed." So again, the time starts then is when you discover it.
Okay. All right.
And then
they find a sponge in you.
Well,
that
exactly.
Because it may not cause an infection for years. It may not cause a problem for years. And if you don't know it's there, then how can you be put on notice? So that's how the discovery rule works. Criminal law, we have there's no statute of limitations. You'll hear other states, somebody's suspected.
New York has certain statutes of limitations on criminal cases.
Yeah, so a rape occurs, it's been 20 years, that person can't be arrested, tried, convicted.
Yeah.
Not in New York?
In other states.
Okay.
Yeah, in other states.
But in South Carolina, we don't at all?
No. Once the crime is committed, you can be prosecuted at any time, regardless of whether it's 30 years, 40 years, or 50 years down the road.
Wow, I learned something new today.
Consumer debt. We get consumer debt cases or claim. People will call us up and ask us questions. It's 3 years for debt. Mm-hmm. if the person, if whoever owns that debt, if they don't come after you within 3 years, they can't file a lawsuit to try to get that money back.
They may still send you a letter, but if you look closely, it will say we do not have the right or the ability to sue you. So I'm like, why would I pay this debt?
Always read the fine print.
Oh, I was going to say, so always read the small print.
You have to. You have to. Well, guys, I appreciate the information. Stick with us, everyone, because we have more Law 101 with Beach Injury Lawyers coming up.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
Welcome back to Living Local Carolina. I've been chatting with the guys from Beach Injury Lawyers, and we've been doing Law 101. Let's complete our lesson. What are we talking about for this last segment?
All right. Burdens of proof.
Exciting.
Get
It's
your
exciting
pencils out.
stuff, man. What we do is, when people call and ask us questions, or, part of the South Carolina Bar activities is, Will and I participate in as we go out to
Libraries.
to libraries or to Tech School, Horry County, or Horry, Georgetown, and they do, Law 101, and they, and again, we discuss different topics in the law. And so, we just kind of compile questions that, it might be a good idea to talk about. So one of the things that people ask about is burden of proof. So what's a burden of proof? In order to prove your case, all right, let's say it's a criminal case.
Law and order.
Law and order. Let's think about Lady Justice and the scales of justice. All right. So, what is the standard is, or the burden is, the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt meaning doubt that would cause a reasonable person to hesitate. All right. So, it's this. If you're looking at the scales, beyond reasonable doubt, it's a high burden. It's the highest burden, actually, of proof in the court system. So if you're going to take someone's liberty, then you got to do it, and you better prove your case. And again, not just this much, but by this much.
Yeah.
So that's beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Beyond a reasonable doubt doesn't apply in civil cases. So for civil cases, automobile accidents, slip and falls, assault, civil assault cases, what do you got to prove? A preponderance of the evidence. Yeah. So instead of beyond a reasonable doubt, if the scales are equal, you just have to tip one side. It just has to tip ever so slightly. And I love it. And a lot of the judges, when they're giving jury instructions, that's the demonstration that they'll do, is to show the jury with their hands, again, Lady Justice holding the scales, but they'll say you only got to tip it ever so slightly, and that's the preponderance of the evidence. So if you can prove liability, the person hit you and they're responsible, that you suffered injuries, and you have proven your damages by a preponderance of the evidence. Okay, so just a little bit. So if you can do that, then you've got a successful case.
Okay, not to sound pig-headed, but that sounds kind of easy.
It's
I
not.
guess it's not.
It's not.
Me, as somebody never gone to law school, you just have to tip it just a little bit. I feel like I could be kind of convincing,
Let me tell you, trying cases is sometimes, it's like trench warfare. Nobody gives an inch.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Nobody gives an inch. So, the defense will, they'll fight liability even though there's a witness that says, yeah, it's clear the person ran a red light. So they're going to fight liability. They're going to fight injury. They're going to fight treatment. They're going to fight permanent injury. So, I did defense work for 12 years. I think it was 12 years. So you're trying to throw shade on the other person's case. So, the jury is going to get the water's going to get muddied a little bit, and so they're going to go back to the jury and they're going to go, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. They made some really good points about this. I don't know if it tips the scales.
Now, let's say it tips the scales on liability. Liability is pretty clear, but this person, the injury, they already had an injured shoulder. Did this aggravate the injury? That's one where, a doctor actually has to say to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that it does. Okay, so there's a separate within this, and that goes to a jury, and I can assure you the defense is going to find a doctor that says, nah, that to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that did not cause the injury.
If somebody's watching right now, they want to call and chat with y'all, you love taking phone calls, how can they get in contact with you?
843-357-4111.
Or catch us on the web, www.beachinjurylawyers.com, or on Instagram.
The preceding portion of Living Local Carolina is sponsored by Beach Injury Lawyers.